Hello. What's going on, people?
Welcome, guys. Welcome in. Thank you, everyone, for showing up tonight. Good evening. Welcome to Ghost to Ghost PM. We are here with Trevor and Riley, the hosts of the What Goes Bump in the Night podcast. Guys, what's up? How you been?
I've been pretty great, actually.
I'm doing great.
I'll say we've been doing some solid, awesome interviews lately. I've been pumping out some true crime with my wife on the side, so like we're keeping up with content. Like everything's going like radically better than I could have expected for this little snippet of 2023 we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We just had Blood Moon Paranormal on the podcast
Shout out to
Wednesday. Absolutely amazing episode. Told us some great stories. He's been at paranormal investigating way longer than a lot of people our age already. So
Yeah, I'd say so.
He's got some impressive videos as well.
Hey,
So-
Bootsy. Good to see you. So
To start off, though,
here recently, I want to start this off. You
yeah,
guys
you
have had
go
a
and then
lot
I
of
have a story.
you guys have had a lot of our family members on there. You've had Helena.
Yep.
You have had Tommy.
Shout out Tommy.
You have had Randy.
Randy.
Yeah, Randy's
You
the
have
man.
had Danny, my number
Danny,
one
yeah.
dude, my mentor, my best friend. That was cool.
Heck yeah, that was a great conversation.
Yeah, we
too.
talked to some haunted World War II ghost shit with him, and it was awesome.
Talking
That
about
was
the submarine and the battleship and their overnight stays and stuff.
He has great stories of that place.
Before they decided
Like-
to put
like-
the cancel culture on us.
Yeah, like I said, I'm always kind of lurking back in the shadows, just checking you guys out, seeing your style, checking out your guests. Okay, so you said you had a story.
Yeah,
I love
it's
starting
pretty
off with a story.
fucking wild, actually. So I don't usually have like weird dreams, but when I do, they're usually vivid, realistic, and they always happen in like first person. So
Same.
I woke
Same.
up, and this was literally last night, and I woke up and my daughter Violet had walked into the bedroom. But to like before I get any farther with it, to backdrop, my daughter knows who my mom is, but my mom died before she was born. And she has told me multiple times she's seen her, will pick up things that were my mom's and be like, this was Grandma Lori's. I don't know how she knows. She must have seen her or something like that. And my wife, when she was giving birth, was told to keep breathing because she was so looped up on the drugs and she was like had been in labor for, I don't know, like 24 hours or something like that at that point. It was something ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
Like, she heard a voice, and then come to find out, we played some home movies because she wanted to know what my mom's voice sounded like. And she was like, that was the voice I heard. So it's like, I think Violet is connected with my mom from a spiritual connection somehow. But this dream was fucked up because she came into my room and Violet was standing next to the bed. But when she started talking to me, she said, Trevor, it's me, your mom. And like started talking like my mom and was like acting like my mom would in Violet's body. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? To the point to where like I had like a full blown conversation with her. Like walked out here, like I remember it like I was literally living it, and I was like, dude, this is like a scary movie right now. And I don't know what kind of premonition shit this is supposed to mean or like why. But I woke up in like a dead sweat and I was like, what the fuck just happened?
Dang.
I don't know why. I haven't had like, it wasn't sad. I wasn't like, I was like scared, but not scared. Like it was weird because usually it's like I'll have a night terror and it'll be fucked up and people will be dying and shit. But like, no, that was just like weird, like creepy, not weird.
Sorry, Gilda's going crazy.
Oh well, just let her be.
Okay.
I've got 2 cats and a dog and they're fucking with our green screen.
Well, you know, if your backdrop, you know, starts to do this, we'll understand.
Mm-hmm. I'm already blending a little bit. I can just do this and then you won't know I have headphones on.
I actually had I was doing a live stream last week, and one of the viewers was like, "Watch his chains, watch his chain," and this chain over here is doing this. We were talking about my wife's grandmother passing, and she loved this because I used to have shackles. I done a complete werewolf deal to take my daughter trick-or-treating a few years ago, and I had these on shackles. And I would put them on Grandma, and I'd say, okay, let's go. We're going to strap you up to the pole outside. People could throw tomatoes and stuff at you. And she'd laugh about it.
That's great.
And then 3 days ago, this side was moving. And I had to tell everybody, I got my fan on over here because it's so freaking hot in here right now. I have to have the fan in the windows. That's what's causing this to move. But it's not explaining why this is moving 8 feet away.
Right, that makes zero sense on why.
And the fan was not on the day that side was moving, so.
See, I've had things swing in my house too, and it was after one of our investigations at Eloise Asylum. Same thing, in Violet's bedroom, she had a rocking chair that was her size. Shit just started rocking on its own for no reason, and of course, I have a camera, and the only room that has a camera is hers, so. I don't know.
Thank you, Bootsy, for putting up their channel. I was actually going to say, not only do you guys podcast, but they also, you know, they show the podcast live on YouTube, and then it goes onto the podcast channels.
We're a little behind on that right now.
Oh, we've been busy.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because not only do these guys podcast, but they do paranormal investigations too. And
yes, we do.
One of my big questions is, which came first, the podcast or the investigations?
Podcast.
So it's like there's a chicken and the egg question here, though, because both of us had paranormal experiences before we met each other that piqued our interest. Interest is not, I don't know, but you know what I mean. Like once we came together, we would talk about it till we both realized, like, hey, we like podcasts.
He ended up, you know, when we started becoming friends, he would hang out at my parents' house. My parents' house is haunted, for sure. 100%. At least has been in the past. I don't know how much it is really anymore, but there has been times where it was just a lot of weird shit going on in spurts. But we think it was the old owners. It was an old couple.
They also have a lot of old antique things in the house. Yeah. Like his mom was collecting antique dolls, and now she's antiquing with old pot jar, like cookie jars. That's what it is. And it's like, I think those could honestly, if somebody put enough passion into that hobby, which like she is, because she has a shit ton of them.
In Michigan, you can legitimately call them pot jars now. So.
Pot jars, yeah, pretty much.
Especially if Mom likes to make special cookies.
Nope.
not seen my mom make a cookie.
Only Dad.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's the cook in the house. For sure.
Phenomenal chili. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. My dad knows what's up.
But investigations. I have a question for you actually. What was your
Okay, go
favorite
for it.
investigation?
Oh God. My favorite investigation. This is what I'd actually like to get you guys down here for, and that is Silverbrook Cemetery in Niles, Michigan.
That sounds awesome.
Cemetery.
There is actually a mausoleum there for the Lee family, and the son was on board the Titanic with his second wife, who was formerly his mistress. That he had like a 19-year-old wife. When she hit like 21 or 22, he divorced her.
I think it was him and his side piece.
But he was like, "Hey, Khrushchev, good to see you. Hope you're doing well tonight." But he when the girl turned 21, he started cheating with this other 19-year-old. Divorced his wife. Now his wife and his mistress are buried in the same mausoleum together.
Oh, and you don't think there's not like some resentment in death between them?
Oh yeah, we kept getting 9 over the spirit box. We couldn't figure out what 9 was. I said, Mark, how many people are interred in that mausoleum? He's like, 7. There's 7 in there.
Yeah.
And we kept getting 9.
Wait, but
9.
you two were in there too.
Well, we were right outside. The door was actually open. The gate was locked.
Okay.
And,
I understand. Yeah.
He finally started maneuvering around and looking. There was 9 spots, only 7 taken.
That's crazy. Do you think that's coincidence though, or do you think that's like some spirit manipulating an energy to talk to you?
At first, I would have said that there's a possibility of it being coincidence, but last year, right after Tommy and I first met, we took him and Willie over to the cemetery, and they went down there, and Tommy asked, well, when did you die? And right off the bat, first response, September.
Damn.
And he looked in there, and sure enough, it was the 24th of September that he passed away.
Damn.
So Tommy said even his skeptic Willie was starting to go, oh, wait, shit, what? Wait,
yeah,
what?
Those are my favorite moments paranormal. Like when you're in a group of people that not everybody is part of your crew, or there is a skeptic with you, and they're like questioning what they like saw and like are perceiving now. Like, wait, why?
Yeah, I think like when we had the group experience at Eloise Asylum, when our light up duck went off by itself for 15 straight minutes on command.
It's crazy.
The first time we had ever tried this little device, you can get them at Meijer at the checkout lane, by the way.
It was impromptu.
Really?
Let's get a trigger object. We don't have.
And you have to touch it. You have to touch it.
It's like a clicky
way
button
to make it go on is you have to touch it. And it went off by itself for literally 15 minutes.
Light up that duck.
Wow.
And there was 7 people around us, so 10 people total with me, him, and Jenna. And it was on the 4th floor, and we set it down. People knew we had it, but we set it down without telling anyone. And then it went off by itself. And it was completely dark. You couldn't see the duck. When you walked around in the dark, even though there's 100 people in this building, you can't see them. You walk right into them, and we just snuck it to the middle of everyone.
Yep, it was pretty cool.
It went off because it was the only light source. It lit up everything.
It was awesome. I'm not gonna lie. That was one of my favorite times when we were paranormal investigating, because I got to do it with Jenna and you, and it was like we had drove all the way from Muskegon to Detroit, which was 3 hours.
Yeah, it was.
And it was in a snowstorm. when we got there, it turned into a snowstorm, so it was like freezing in the building.
Oh, yeah.
And we were all
Drive
miserable. But it was like,
Back.
this is so worth it now.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just
Yep.
we went to the mall.
That place where Ghost-A-Rama is going to be at in June.
Yeah.
Over in Benton Harbor. It's the location of the former city of David. Rumored
It's
to be
so
a
interesting.
cult. They call it a religious encampment, but it was supposed to be a cult encampment. And they built an amusement park to fund the
Yep.
encampment. And
Live tigers and everything.
oh yeah. The cat house is where we get a lot of interaction at. Because right back past that is a storage area for building materials and stuff, and that's where the elemental has always been sighted at. And
Elemental.
yes,
It's
it's
an
some
interesting
kind of a
story.
forest creepy creature thingy, and they believe that it's actually Native American spirit because when the compound was first opened, they were out exploring. There's natural springs that go all through the woods and stuff back there.
Yeah.
And when the owner was out there investigating his property, he ran across Indian remains that had been uncovered over time.
Mhm.
So he
all
found,
this.
he found all kinds of stuff. So
It was,
we're really
it was
looking forward to
so
getting back out there.
so cool because like almost every building you would go into, like it was white. I don't even know how to explain it. Like it was walking back in time because they were restoring everything at the time too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like the turbine engines that they had, like they were bigger than we were, and they were all still able to be turned by hand. Like they kept everything super nice, and I was blown away because I was like, you guys are the bee's knees. And then not only that, like we caught some really cool stuff. Like it was really fun.
Hey Jan, good to see you. Glad you made it in.
Riley, what do you think your favorite was? Like out of
Yeah,
all of
really.
our investigations, what do you
Experience?
think yours was? Or yeah, let's go with experience and
My
then
favorite
locations.
paranormal experience since doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
I'm trying to think too. Actually, I got it. I'll go first. So we went to the old Lincoln County Jail. The first big investigation that we had ever done. The first like time traveling together alone.
You're on the money because that's where I was going to pick.
Yeah, and like just right off the get-go, we had our walkie-talkies start turning on in my backpack. 5 seconds into the building, it felt like. And it was just like,
Wow.
all right, shit's already going to start happening. Like, this is crazy. And then we start doing the tour, and we start getting, like, how do I want to say, like, almost like you get anchored to a room when you're going through it and learning the history, and something resonates with you because everything is vibrating on the same frequency because everything is molecules and atoms broken down into, like, literally just shaking energy, which I mean that's how everybody feels things, that you get a weird feeling like it's vibrations, if you ask me, but it's not. It's not the ones that you see, as crazy as it sounds. So like we have all this crazy shit happen. Like I feel this room is like just it's calling my name. So we go sitting there like after like a hour and 30-40 minutes into the investigation that we were doing alone, and I was just like, man, this place is so cool. Like we're just chilling out. Like I had my hoodie up because I was like, it's kind of scary because this is the first one I've done. And all of a sudden we hear this jail cell door just
Mind you, we thought at first it was a train.
yeah. It was so loud.
Because there was a train station nearby.
Mhm.
But then we went downstairs where everyone else had kind of grouped up and was
They looked like
doing,
they were in a cult
candlelight. The candlelight experiment, or not the candlelight experiment. It was
no, it was a flashlight.
flashlight.
But it was it's same thing basically. It's like a tea
Yeah.
candle.
And we asked them, we're like, hey, did you guys hear that loud like
Door. Did somebody
creak
open a
noise?
door?
Like someone opened a door or something? Everyone was
No,
like,
they were 3 floors away from us.
in a solid brick building.
Yep.
And they didn't hear it with open windows.
Huh.
At 3 a.m.
And this is the same place that the Ghost Adventures crew caught the shadow figure that's like looking out the window that you can clearly see and it's completely transparent.
And then we went back upstairs And when we looked down the hallway, the center hallway, there was a door that was not open beforehand. And we have pictures to back it up, I'm sure somewhere, that the door moved like this much.
Oh, it definitely did.
It doesn't seem like a lot, but this door weighs 600 pounds and it's cast iron steel and it hasn't moved in 120 years.
Yeah, it was rusted to hell. Like it was heavy. Like when we went to push it back, like we both play like semi-pro hockey. I'm practice squad. He's on the main squad, but like we went to push that door and I had to like physically like exert a lot of force.
You can't make that noise, and it moved like.
It was crazy. And like I equate that to like some of the other evidence that we've caught too, like Mouth Cemetery in Montague is a good example. We're in the middle of a completely wooded area. There's no reason for any of our electronic devices to be going off, and we have this millimeter that's reading all the milligauss, whatever it's coming through. Next thing you know, that fucking thing spikes to like what 600-700.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck just happened?
It was just like for a split second.
Yeah, it was like a nuclear bomb just went off.
And that night was crazy too because the air was so thick that you could like feel the energies like move the air. Like almost
nice
like you could feel it circling you, but then when it got near you, you could like touch it.
Right.
It's wild.
Wow.
It was weird.
So
it was
you guys have been to some. You guys have been to some pretty well-known places. I mean, you mentioned Eloise earlier, and what are some of the other, like, not just places that maybe like Ghost Adventures have been to, or anything,
I guess
but,
I mean
some of the big.
Yeah.
I went to Arizona on a family vacation.
Mm-hmm.
My whole family's into the paranormal, and we went to Butt Cemetery, where there used to be a town where the cemetery is now, and there was a lynching tree, unfortunately.
Whew.
They ended up having to cut it down because so many people were going to it. But that cemetery was crazy haunted. There was some weird stuff going on in there. I also, while I was in Arizona, I went to Vulture Mine, Vulture City. That was pretty cool. It was during the daytime, so I don't know if it was really like super active at the time, but there was some weird stuff going on, There was weird. I felt like there was someone behind me the entire time I was there, and I would look back and there was no one. And then everywhere I went, the EMF detector, if I was holding it, it wouldn't go off. But if my sister was holding it like 2 or 3 feet behind me, it would just spike red and stay red.
That's so weird to me. Like,
wow.
Did you know any of the history prior to that too? Like, did you guys just know that it was kind of haunted and just go?
I mean, it was on Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And I watched the episode before I went, obviously.
You have to.
Try to see if I can. But the history is all there too. Like,
right.
Different. Like they have ghost hunts there. Like you can go, ghost hunt every night there if you want. We just didn't. It wasn't in our schedule to do it at night because it's in the middle of the desert.
That's kind of cool.
And then he also went to Alaska, you lucky butt, and they got to do some really fucking cool places. Like the igloo that they went to it's such a fascinating story around it.
Yeah,
it's the only thing like its kind.
There's a highway in Alaska, literally only one highway, and it's Highway 1. And we took it super far north to Denali. And on the way there, you pass this igloo-looking building. It's 3-story tall, looks like an igloo.
Mm-hmm.
And there's mountains behind it and forest. It's like beautiful looking.
It shouldn't be there, but it is. It looks like a nipple, and then there's trees around it.
It's a resort. I don't think it ever opened either.
No.
They built it.
Never made it
to code. And some shit has happened in it over the years being off the highway, obviously.
Right.
And I went in there and we were walking around the entire first floor and nothing happened. No spikes or anything. and I couldn't find the stairs. Like, this place is so big, all the walls are knocked out. It's just the framing.
Huh.
And I was like, there definitely stairs, like you could see all the way up there. And all of a sudden, I just like found them. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I started walking up the stairs, asking questions, and as soon as I got to the top stair, it spiked red. And then I just stood there. And I was like, yeah, get up here. And he came up, nothing, nothing, nothing. As soon as he got to the top of the stairs, spiked red.
And
then,
granted, there's no electricity run to this
no,
place.
there's no electricity ran to this area at all. None. There's no power lines, nothing. You're so far away from civilization that there's only certain types of people that live up there.
No, that's cool. That's what we ran into at the jailhouse that we done. Danny, Tommy,
Hell yeah.
me and Mark. We 1879 jailhouse. No electricity running into the building. No power lines or anything within 100 yards of it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there with my voice recorder talking. All of a sudden, Mark's like, "This thing's going nuts," and sticks it right in front of the camera, right beside me. And I mean, just shooting up and down. It's like, from what? When did it start? He said, just
You're
a
like,
minute
"The
ago.
fuck?"
Yeah, how's it doing it? Okay,
I've
so
actually
now-
done a few places in Alaska
Oh yeah.
that we don't really ever talk about. I think we might
We
talk
rarely
about them
talk
one
about them.
episode, but I don't
That's
really ever
what I
bring
say.
them up.
You
Because
talk
not a whole
about
lot
it.
happened, but
I got
they're interesting. That's
in
for sure.
okay. So I went to this
Did
building.
anybody-
I caught a EVP at.
Yeah. Did we lose him?
It looks like his mic is eating him.
Oh, dude, it does look like a T-Rex is eating him. That's awesome. So, dude, that dream was super wild. Like, it was super duper wild.
We're
It's
still
not
live.
our
We're still
internet.
live chat.
Maybe. We'll see.
That's
Oh,
weird.
I hear stuff now. Are you back?
You lagged out on us. Or are we like no? I don't think
There's
we
no
are.
way it's my internet. Oh,
Can you hear us?
no. I see him blinking.
Okay, I can hear you again. There you are.
There we go.
What is happening?
I have got no clue. I asked if anybody got ate by a polar bear, and all of a sudden you went spinny. I went spinny. But I'm watching the computer right here underneath you, and it never went spinny on the computer.
Really? That's so weird. I don't know. Do we sound... Alright, chat. I need to know. Do we have an echo, or is there anything going on with our voices?
Yes.
No, you
Because
both
we had the
sound
problem
very,
last time, so
very
I don't
manly.
know. Okay, cool.
The masculinity is just, I mean, it's right there. I mean, I smell the testosterone coming from the studio. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I got a new tattoo recently too.
Did you really?
I need
It's
to
all
get a new
anime.
tattoo soon. I'd like one.
Jan says you got
Oh,
some
what was I talking
good.
about?
Bootsy says
I was in
you
telling a
said
story.
you had stories
Talking
from
about
Alaska you've never talked about.
Yeah.
The place with the basement that you could have got into, but didn't get into, so but happy because you can and could have, but it would have been sweet if you did.
Yeah.
That's
There's
so weird.
crematorium.
Yeah, super weird. There's
It's not a
there's no
crematorium
reason
anymore, but
for it to
it
be there.
was, and they used it to heat the town
I look like a redneck.
with tunnels underneath the city. They used the furnace.
And they heated the whole town with the furnace that they used to cremate bodies.
Yeah. I caught a voice that said hello, really faint, and then I got lightheaded and was feeling weird, and then I had to go outside for a minute, and I felt fine.
Yeah. What is happening again?
That T-Rex is eating him again.
Dude, I don't get it because I know for a fact my internet can handle all this. Like 100% can. Because I can have everything on my house that's using internet and not a single choppy. Like I don't lose like anything. And when I play video games, like the speed is like 300 megabytes per second every time. And I'm like, okay. I wonder if it's because he's got so much going on his computer at once. Because it does happen.
Just Drew? Okay, we're still live with the chat. Nice.
All right. Oh,
All right,
okay, cool.
So we're gonna take over the show while he's.
I knew it. Yeah. So
he'll be back. He just got to reset
I was
his
just
modem
gonna
or
say the router's
something.
got to reset.
So,
all right. My favorite investigated place that we've gone to by far has been Mouth Cemetery because we have caught some of the best evidence ever, and it's always consistently like, how do I want to say it? Active is probably the best way to say it, but like I don't know what entity is. I guess what do you want to say? Like this is so funny. I would say there's a primordial being that is there, like an elemental, like we were talking
something
about.
Different.
Because if you go to our stuff, Jenna caught a very big shadow figure.
Yeah. You've probably seen it before. We show it off. We're proud of catching that.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
I think everyone that sees it is stumped. They're like, I don't.
I have to step in for just a second, guys.
You're fine.
To all the viewers, I have got no clue what's happening. I am running 100% Wi-Fi signal right now.
Huh.
Whenever this device shows us going into the little spinny arrow, we're still playing on the computer.
That's so weird.
It is very weird, and it just started
It's
when you
Mouth
guys
Cemetery.
talking about these stories.
Oh.
Here, I'll type in the chat. I forgot that we can do that.
Can we type in the chat? Not unless we're on our page.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Oh, well, it's fine. Yeah, it's Mouth Cemetery.
Hey, you know,
but mouth. Yeah. Put in your mouth.
Yeah, like that thing underneath your nose. It's Mouth Cemetery.
Like the T-Rex eating you every time you like lag a little bit. It's like, ow.
We could have an attachment from there.
It's very
We've
much
been
so
back multiple
possible.
times within that year.
I have one time been scratched, but we have a very different theory about what causes scratches than what most people think.
Yeah, it's something I just recently just kind of was thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And because a lot of YouTubers are getting scratched, I'm seeing on the bigger channels. And I was just like, well, how do you know it's a demon or that it's negative or trying to do it to you in a negative way? I started thinking of ways that maybe your body could react to energy. And I was like, well, if you get shocked, you get burned. So why couldn't a ghost touching you be like a burn or something?
Like an
from the
energy.
That's actually a very, very good point. Me and Danny had a nice long talk about that one time, and
yeah,
I told him, I said, well, you know, in 2 months, I got scratched at 3 different locations. And I said, do you think it was demonic? I said, because the first time I got scratched, we heard that scream, shrill, banshee type scream come out of the cornfield just a few minutes before it happened. And then the spirit box, the Vietnam vet we were talking to, said he's coming.
Who's coming?
And then all of a sudden it's like, okay,
yeah,
we're going to break us down for the night. We can barely see out here. And Mark went walking, and I was breaking things down, and all of a sudden I felt just this sharp, needling pain go right down my spine. And I yelled, Mark, he came back, and I took my shirt off right there on camera. Mark took a picture of it, and 3 scratches going right down my spine. But I
never
think
fails.
about that. And I said, do you think it's demonic? He said, sometimes maybe. He said, but the thing that makes more sense to me that I found out in 20 plus years, 200 plus investigations, is some people were just assholes in life.
Yep.
And they're assholes in death.
Yeah, that's exactly how we feel too. If you're a completely narcissistic piece of shit in life, you are 100% not just going to change who you are just because you died. you're probably going to keep all the same ideas, mannerisms, like idealistic like tendencies, all of it, everything.
Right. And if you think that you're the devil when you die, guess what? You're probably in the afterlife gonna think you're the devil, and that's why a lot of spirits that
We talk
think,
to the devil.
Yeah.
Now,
They have talked to the devil on Easter.
real quick, guys, for everybody that's viewing right now, do you notice since they quit talking about the stuff that they very rarely talk about, we stopped having spinny problems on the stream?
See, you lag on our end a little bit. It'll be like, but like I can completely understand what you're saying. It just
My wife
sounds
said
like
the same thing. I lag with her sometimes too.
Huh? Yeah. I mean, you get the spinny.
You know, it's just part of being married. You got to lag once in a while.
Yeah. I just say I'm loading.
Yep, that's about it. So what about places that you guys have been to that they were built up? They were,
hyped up.
You're gonna, so hyped up that you just, I mean, you're getting a boner to get in that place, and you get there, it's like.
I can only think of one that disappointed me, but there wasn't a lack of a funny story that went along with it. And that was when we went to Two in One Night. What was the first cemetery called again? Finley. It was Finley Cemetery.
The Ada Witch.
Yep, the Ada Witch, which there's a lot of like misconstrued things about that story.
It's a good story, but
I think it's fabricated. Unfortunately. But we went there.
The cemetery is haunted though.
We went there and it was our first cemetery investigation as like a couple of us. And for some reason all of us are old. Like we're all almost 30. We decided we have to be sneaky.
Oh yeah, you're old.
I mean, I think
asshole.
Well, we would run away from cops and shit and duck dive and jump over fences. So for some reason we thought that's what we had to do this time to get into the cemetery. So we were running through the woods, hiding from cars that are coming down the road. And I mean, granted, there's houses and things around it, so like it's somewhat lit up, not really. But like if you got seen, like somebody might be like, "What are they doing?" But we jumped like a 5-foot fence, and like it was not graceful.
It just when you go there, it looks sketchy. It just looks sketchy.
And we parked on like a really dark, like random road, and it was super funny because then we were leaving, we're like, the gates are completely open. We could have literally just parked in here, and then we just walked down the road. And we were like, what the fuck were we doing? Never have done the same thing since. We just walk in. It's fine. We're not here to destroy anything. Anybody that's going to be malicious is not cool.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say. Do not go to locations like cemeteries or places that are supposed to have like historical events happened or things, and just go to be malicious. Like that's the last thing you should be doing.
If you're gonna do anything in a cemetery, at least leave a gift for someone.
I had to do that one time. Did I ever tell you the story about having my wallet stolen by a ghost?
No.
So, the Nunica Cemetery is said to be one of the most haunted in like West Michigan / Michigan. It very much so could be, and I don't know what makes it so haunted because it's starting to be urbanized around it. So there's like a car dealership that light bleeds through the trees, and it's
made for some really sick photo ops.
It did, but this night we went, it was like October time. It was like just like fall. It was cold and it was wet, and there was a heavy fog, and it was not supposed to rain that night, but then it just randomly started to when we were like getting ready to leave after like playing hide and seek with a ghost all night. And for some reason I felt triggered to like, how do I say it, act out. I never provoke or say rude things about the spirits, but I was like being mean for no reason.
I was even telling him that he was crossing a line. Like, he was like calling ghosts.
I was like, "You're pussies."
God,
it was bad. I don't do that, and I don't know why. I was like, oh, okay, then I guess that happened.
So just being macho for no reason.
Yeah. So then, like, all night goes by, and we go down to where they like do their like cremation like your ashes can go, and you do like your little like visitation there with everybody, and it's like the last. What do you want to call it? I don't even know what they call it, to be honest with you. But we put a REM pod in the middle of that little like cement pad with a couple benches, and we were like, if anybody's here with us, like, can you please make this go off? Nothing happened. And I was like, all right, cool. If I give you a present, can you make this go off? And that bitch lit up so fucking fast. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's awesome, thanks. And then it started to rain, and I was like, let's dip. I don't want to be out here in the rain. All our shit's expensive, and I don't feel like having.
We filmed everything on his phone that night. And we took photos on my phone.
And then I got home, and I was like, I'm going to bed, I'm tired. I went to bed, I looked for my wallet the next morning, that bitch was gone. 100% gone. And I had it in my butt pocket all night. And I checked my pants, and I was like, dude, I just literally got home and took my pants off. There's no way it's gone. We checked his car, we checked everything, gone. So then I was like, cool, that's fucking awesome. I went to go like pull up the fucking video that we had took all last night to start editing it. Corrupted, gone.
No
like,
way.
Yeah, and I was like, what is this?
All of it. It was like 3 hours, man. We were there for
and it
so
was
long.
We literally walked in there, and Riley was the first time we had got to investigate with Chase, right? And he had his headphones like we have on now, and he was doing the Estes method, where he was listening to the Spirit Box, and he was like answering our questions basically. And then at one point when we all switched, Riley put the headphones on, and he started to hear like a little girl basically coming through talking.
I kept
to him.
hearing a little girl. I kept hearing an old lady, really old lady who like was mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was super mean. And she was like, do you remember this?
Yeah.
Like she was like shaking the tree like we were telling her to like make something move, and you could hear a tree branch like getting shook. Like it was super weird.
And it wasn't that windy that night. Like it was a violent like yeah, that was a really weird sound. But
yeah, we heard a banshee cry there. You weren't there.
I wasn't.
Night,
yeah, I wasn't
but
that night. But
he's heard it.
Yeah,
weird
that place is
cemetery.
weird.
Weird.
Now
Cemetery.
you guys are in the Muskegon area, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. See, Mark and I are looking at 2 cemeteries up there in your area.
Mm-hmm.
We were looking at them last year, but we know it's going to be an overnight stay for us, so we wanted to have the funds for a motel room. And
Right.
One of them, and I don't know the names of them, please forgive me, but one of them is supposedly guarded by a Rev War soldier, a British soldier, and the other one is, I guess there's burial mounds at the back of the cemetery, and there's stories of a shapeshifter that has been seen and heard that guards those burial mounds.
That's pretty crazy.
I don't know. Mesquite? Where would that be?
I don't know, honestly. That's the thing is, like, we've been finding out more and more, like, there's, like, hole-in-the-wall cemeteries here and there that should exist,
You
but
have to
they do.
understand, I think Mark has a private internet.
Right. He's in the deep web.
He can find shit that'll curl your toenails, and I don't know how he does it, because I go looking for it, and I can't find nothing on it.
Yeah, I struggle to find locations.
Yeah, me too. Like that's why we haven't done like a lot of bigger locations. On top of it being way too expensive.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is like everybody wants to monopolize ghost hunting now because it's so big and it's more accepted, and it's so sad, but I understand why. And I'm glad that we can give our money to a good cause if we are. Like Old Lincoln County Jail, all the money that they were taking in was going into like historic renovations. So they were trying to keep everything as close to being as
possible.
I
was missing one of these giant French swinging doors,
and they were gonna make it the same way.
To make it the same way,
Yep.
and have the exact same door that was missing.
Yep.
Back in there.
But they were gonna
could
have like a
spread
hand wood crafter make that fucking door for them. And I was like, that's so cool. Like if they did this with every location, which I'm not saying like it's gonna change the fact because it's a brand new door that somebody made now. But it's like somebody took the time to like make it fit the aesthetic of where it was back then, which is true to form.
A lot of these places too, they switched to a haunted house in the like haunted season.
I always have such
that's cool.
It's
like
awesome, but I have such a love-hate for that because it's like, is that desecration or is that like manipulating like something that's already there and using it for something
No,
that's
I
really
think
cool.
it's make it more fun.
I don't think I hate it, but
I think it makes it more fun.
true.
It's like living
True.
in a movie at that point.
Taking an actual haunted location and turning it into a October
attraction.
time haunted
Yeah.
attraction.
Yeah, with like workers and everything.
Well, and see,
A lot of places
think-
do it. A lot of
I
places.
have a
Yeah.
love hate for it.
Yeah, I've heard of a lot of it going on in recent years. There was a place here in Michigan. There's a place in Indiana. That took an
Eloise is
actual
doing it.
place where families
Little Jay's
died
doing it.
at,
Yeah.
and they turned it into an October, end of September to beginning of November haunted attraction with workers that come out in costumes and scare the hell out of little kids and make people pee on themselves and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I have a really good haunted attraction story.
Go
I
for
don't know
it.
if I've ever heard this one.
Okay, so in high school, I went to this haunted corn maze with a haunted forest attached to it in like Cascade. And we were walking through the haunted corn maze, and we made it out of the maze, and we were walking through the forest, and we kind of like hooped up with some people that exited the maze at the same time as us. And we're walking down this path in the woods, and we're walking, and this little girl came up and held my hand. And I looked at her, and I was like, whoa, okay. Like, what the fuck?
What's happening?
And then she goes, have you seen my mommy? And I was like, no, get away.
That's really awesome.
And she ran behind a tree, and no one else seen her.
That's so weird.
I
Wow.
was with like 4 or 5 people. They heard me talk to her, but no one else seen her.
Yep.
Wow. So, how, and I don't care who goes first with
Yeah.
this. I know you guys said you grew up in haunted houses, but what got you from experiencing things as a child to investigating things as an adult?
It just was like a morbid curiosity. Both of us like sat down and had the conversation of, what is this? Like, what's your theory behind this? Okay, well, that I like your theory. Like, let me build on that. Okay, this is what I think now. And then that's been our back and forth for a long time. And then finally one day we were both just like, you know what would be really cool? Since we talk about these experiences we've had and try to rationalize what happened and then explain what happened, why don't we go seek these out? And then, we can talk about this too, because we already talk about this all the time. Oh,
Right.
Guess what? You like aliens? I do too. Oh, guess what? Conspiracies are interesting. True crime is interesting. Oh, don't even get me started.
This creepypasta with this crazy fucked up monster that eats people.
Artificial intelligence is already tricking people into doing their bidding. This is actually truth. I'm not even kidding, folks. This really happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
AI.
Well, and a lot of
insane.
people don't realize too that these troll bots that automatically they might design 500 usernames, and as soon as you block one, it automatically kicks on a second and just keep. And that is
people can make
AI.
some crazy
It
code.
thinks faster than we do.
Yep.
Its goal is to solve its problem.
Well, look at quantum physics and quantum computers. We had quantum computers back in like the early 2000s, probably late 1990s. They've been perfecting quantum computers since then. What does quantum computers do? Well, they take the binary code and they take the ones and zeros that is made up of all pieces of data that only goes in a linear path, and it takes the ones and zeros and stacks them on top of each other, which gives it the opportunity to go, oh, I can project the paths that I should take, and then it sees pretty much like all the realities to the point to where it'll pinpoint like, this is the probable outcome, this is what I'll do. Which they've probably been tweaking that to get it to do whatever the fuck they want. So they basically are probably sitting on Skynet right now, and we're seeing like the other companies just catching up, which is hilarious to me, because it's like, you don't think this just came from the bricks they were and just, the little slide up text.
What's
To
this
what
new
they are.
texting app that people are doing? Are they talking to like AI or something, or having AI talk
Yeah,
for
Chat
them? Or,
GPT.
like, what the fuck
No,
is
Chat
that?
GPT will take the conversation in that you're giving it, and it will 100% break it down, and then it will give you the best feedback that it can give you, which is like it takes in everything from the internet basically, and then goes, "Oh, this is what I see the most things saying on the internet," and then it gives it back to you basically, but it'll answer your question. It's fucking crazy.
Dude, so if I asked it, are ghosts real, it would give me an answer.
Ghosts are real.
But does artificial intelligence know
I
that
don't
ghost
know.
is real?
I don't know.
Do they know anything
I've
about
never asked it.
aliens? What do they know about aliens? What does AI know about aliens? Can anyone tell us in the chat? Who uses Chat GPT? Give us.
I don't know. All I know
I'm
is
not
I've read
using it.
articles.
I'm not using it. It's not taking over my phone.
We have used AI stuff though. We made
We
AI
have.
art. We
We
made
did.
AI
This
stories.
is
It's
AR
awesome.
art back there.
Yeah, this was AI art. Insanity.
AR art actually wrote some pretty cool stories, though.
It did. It did. It only needed a little bit of sugar and sweetener here and there to make it
Yeah.
really
So if
pop.
you ever go listen to our podcast, we have a little series. I think it's like 6 episodes.
Artificial pastas.
That we did. That was called Artificial Pastas, and they're all stories written by artificial intelligence.
And then we put a little bit of spin on it.
Yeah.
But they wrote the whole story for us. It's crazy.
Basically, I just updated it here and there. He updated a couple here and there, and boom, there they were. But I also have written many of my own stories and put them on the podcast that I'm very proud of. That don't get enough love. Doll of Torment, that's a good one.
Books in the closet.
Books in the closet.
Big Fish just
Books in the
made
basement,
a
that's what it
decent
is.
point. AI is just a money machine programmed by Homo sapiens.
Oh, it is.
The scary thing about AI, though, is it is a learning program.
Yep. It will surpass us.
It will learn. And that's why when they mentioned Skynet a minute ago, I kind of chuckled a little bit. It's like, yeah, the T-800 is just, they've already got him designed. He's sitting back in a computer somewhere waiting for the technology to put human flesh over machine.
Look at that yellow that bot that they're using for combat now. I seen like a test for it. Like they can knock it over and it can get up and it'll avoid things because it has the gyroscope in it. But then they gave it a fucking handgun and it was dotting targets and they were hitting it with baseball bats. It was like, you're fucking kidding me, dude. It's the Terminator starting right here.
Yep. They've got that dog.
That dog, the turret dog. That's real.
Yeah, it can be knocked over and the legs automatically roll over and push it. Oh, well, what about the sonic cannon that the military come out with,
Sonic
about
cannon.
10
I
years
could go
ago?
on all of this.
It's a huge, great big screen that sits on top of a Humvee, and it will literally go all the way up to the point to the brown note.
Well,
where
look
you will
at this
fall on
too.
the ground and shit yourself.
You have evidence of Project Indigo, of the kids that were taken and used for scientific advancement, but they were really experimenting on these kids to make superhumans. And then they had the Men Who Stare at Ghosts is a real thing. They tried to get people to remote view and use their brain to a more of a capacity. And it's like your government 100% funded this, and they believe in this stuff. And you're telling me
it was no secret that 30 years ago, the military was doing genetic manipulation on soldiers.
Yep.
They were trying to do the same thing that Germany was doing back in the 40s and trying to build super soldiers.
And then they turned into Nazi zombies.
Yeah, they're putting animal DNA in people to see if these people will pick up on these characteristics of that species of animal.
They're trying to make homunculus.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's
guess
full blown alchemy. That's
I
They're
guess
crazy.
trying to make
growing a
mammoths,
human ear
man. Did
on
you
a
hear about that?
mushroom. Uh-uh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're trying to bring mammoths back.
Do you think?
Oh,
They're trying to bring it to
I
like
did. I
this
read
Do you
that.
think that
area
they
of
are able to?
Siberia so that they can regrow this megafauna.
Because what's crazy to me is they can literally revive dead species of things. Where it's like you can 100% Lazarus this thing.
They also discovered with the mammoths that the way they beat up the ground and ate everything and like is similar to like how elephants do it in like Africa and
Mhm.
everything.
Oh, really?
Their poop and them killing everything actually helps everything grow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
So I think that if they were to segregate this like area in Siberia to clone mammoths, they could
Sounds
regrow.
so
It
ridiculous.
sounds so ridiculous, but they think it could save the ice caps.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I love it. I love that.
So
Something like
moving
that. I don't know
on
exactly.
to a different subject.
Yeah, it's fine.
What goes bump in the night? Number
Oh,
one,
yeah.
where did you come up with the name?
We
A long
floated.
list
We floated
of
so
random
many
ideas.
back and forth.
Until
That's-
this one came up and we were like, that's it.
That's the one.
That's
Oh,
it.
so,
We were
okay,
like-
so you guys did not steal it from Hellboy.
No, hell no. I don't even know where. I think I said this first or something close to this, and then Riley said it back to me, and I was like, "That's it. This is it. That's the one."
I think you said something. I think you said just bump in the night.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I said bump in the night.
And then I
he was
looked it
"No,
up and
dude,
I was
what
like,
goes
no,
bump in
there's
the
a
night?"
movie called Bump in the Night.
Yep.
And there's a bunch of books. Like we don't want that. And I go, what about What Goes? And he was like,
Ooh, that's a ring. And then we just went with it, and then it's been that ever since.
yeah. And we were only able to find anything. One
One
thing.
thing that nobody did anything with, and they they didn't even release anything.
Yeah, it was a like Podbean stock video or something. I don't know.
See, I've never heard of that TV show either. Never once have I heard of this old TV show. I'd love to see
No.
it.
And then
Oh yeah, it'd be great to see old episodes of what goes bump in the night. But yeah, that was one thing. And if you guys ever noticed, the flak jacket that I wear on investigations has got the symbol for the paranormal Department of Paranormal Research and Development from Hellboy on the sleeve.
Yep.
Because there are things that go bump in the night.
There
but
are.
You're the ones that come back.
Oh yeah.
That just always stuck with me, especially when I got into the paranormal. It's like there are things that go bump in the night, but by God, they can bump into me all they want to. I'm not backing away from them. I'm going to bump back.
We covered
And my
so
wife
many
said,
things.
I like that.
Yeah, we've covered so many things that like I can't honestly explain. Like throughout the 130 plus episodes that we have out now, there's at least 80 cryptids that we've covered, I want to say. And at one point we did literally a cryptid like list that we were like,
oh
dude.
yeah, we did like a list of cryptids and we just went
And it
down
was
them.
awesome because I'd never heard of some of these. So like we had like the night marchers of like of Hawaii, I think it was,
Yeah,
like
that
one
was
of the
a cool
islands.
story.
And it's like a tribe of like Hawaiian like tribal members that are like doing like a ritual like sacrificial walk of their like leader that you are not allowed to lay eyes on or you will die. And this is part
You'll
of their
pee
culture.
yourself and die. That's literally it.
And then like like Haka, like that's like what you would hear is like the war chant in like Haka, and it's like that is fucking awesome. And I would never have learned about that had I not done this podcast and just dug a little deeper than what's on the surface. Because you hear about Mothman, you hear about Sasquatch, you hear about all this and that. But have you ever heard of the Japanese legend that you go to a train yard at night and there's a girl that drags her severed torso with a scythe?
I
through the
forgot
train
about
yard?
that one. Oh yeah, that's a crazy story.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you've never heard of that one. Or the Agikahara forest in Japan, the suicide forest, and how it's synonymous with
The
people going
suicide
to
forest.
end their lives there.
Yeah, we talked about a bunch of different occults too that did some really weird
Jim
shit.
Jones is insane. The fact that he manipulated over 100 people to commit suicide with him because of his ideas, and you think about it and you're like, people will listen to what you have to say if you project something that they want to hear.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
We actually did that one live on YouTube as well, so you can actually watch that one.
It's just insane.
So,
to me.
Mayan civilizations too. That was a really
oh my God, yes,
fun episode.
That was a fun.
Yeah, the Mayan civilization, the Mayan way of thinking, the cultures, almost that way. So you guys covered more cryptids than I think most people have. What are some of the most interesting ones that you've looked into that maybe isn't so well known? Oh, Siren Head. Yeah, I love those.
It's a funny one.
Videos on YouTube.
I know. The funny thing too is though, like Slender Man, like people thought that into fruition, but there is actually an old German legend of an entity that would sneak in your windows and basically steal you at night, and that was a real legend. Yeah, so I guess you could say it's based off something, but there's wood carvings from like the 1600s from Germany that depict like a long tentacle-armed like being that is like, you know what I mean? Like it depicts what Slender Man was depicted as. Or what was the other one where it was? Oh God! It made the little girl stab. No, that was Slender Man. Yeah, the little girl stabbed the other little girl because of it.
And then Black Eyed Kids.
That one was my favorite though. The Black Eyed Kids.
Dear
is
David.
My favorite.
If you don't know about Dear David, that is a really crazy
a cool story
that this dude basically lived out on Twitter daily and about this doll looking thing that would show up, kid looking thing.
It was like a kid entity that had been hit in the head with a hammer or something, and everything that you see, like in pictures and things that he was doing, like he was documenting it, and it was like you're going along the ride with him. It was pretty cool. But 100% Black Eyed Kids is my favorite. It's so interesting.
I think Danny's seen one.
Yeah,
I do
I've done a video
I think
Danny, I don't think knew what it was, but he started telling us this story about this Asian kid he's seen, and he said it had black eyes, and we were like, dude, Black Eyed Kids. He's like, no.
Because the kid just the way the kid spoke to him too, it was weird.
Yeah, it was just weird.
And you get a lot of stories about black-eyed children, and they tend to vary from one location to the next. You know, when I done the video on them a few months ago, they were talking about how, you know, these kids knock at a stranger's door during a thunderstorm. You know, where cold can we come in? They bring them in, they sit them down, they give them something to drink. Do you need to call somebody? No, our parents will be here very shortly. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, it's time to leave, and they open the front door and start walking out, and then this car pulls up. They never got a phone call or nothing saying anybody's coming, but they knew that these, I'm air quoting here, these men in black showed up to pick them up in these cars and drive off. You know, then you've heard of black-eyed children coming in, and what else was it about that visit with the black-eyed kids? They came in. One of them petted the people's cat, and the next day the cat died.
Oh,
so
that's fucked
you know, what are they? Where do they come from? You know.
So I have a theory. It's kind of a fun one too. I think they're drones of aliens.
Really?
Because they come off as very non-human, for one. They ask you for your permission to come in. And then if the cat died from it petting it, what if it's because it just took a lethal dose of radiation because it was on a spaceship that we are not meant to be around because it has some type of propulsion or whatever, like a gamma like radiation or something from the solar system they're from that like we just can't handle. So
which would make sense because a lot of people have reported running into black-eyed children and becoming sick.
Yep. So, and then just the feeling of unease immediately when you see them. Like it would make sense. And they always say they're just off a little bit. They don't
Yeah.
look quite normal.
Yeah.
So like you wonder, like, is it a drone that's not perfectly done, or are they the aliens? Dude, it's hard to say. I don't know. They're not vampires, I can tell you that.
Vampires
Yeah.
aren't real people. They're a Hollywood myth. Sorry to break it to you if you believe in
Sorry
vampires,
to
but
break
they're
it to
not real. Even though thousands of people have
Vlad
died
the
because
Impaler literally just impaled people.
there was that whole thing too when people died, they put rocks in their mouths so that they couldn't bite in the afterlife. They couldn't eat flesh in the afterlife. I forget where that was.
Oh, I don't know. I think it was somewhere like a European setting.
Yeah, definitely European.
Speaking of
setting,
European setting, I want to say I've been giving it a lot of thought. I think Paris Catacombs is like one of my like all-time. I want to get there. And
yeah, it's
investigate
top
that.
5 for me.
Yeah, definitely.
That I've heard a lot of stories, and like I'm not trying to go pay some random person on one of the Paris streets to take me down there and then lock me in there and be like, "Good luck, your life is at stake. I took all your money and your passport." Because that happens quite a bit.
It does happen quite a bit. Except, I mean, Crouch's sister's been down there twice, I think. So
Yeah, which I mean, I would love to do a tour, but like I want unimpeded access. As I want, like how do I want?
but there could always be people.
I want a
down
guide, but I don't want a guide.
There could always be people down there.
You know for a fact though that all those guides that go down there are like, dude, another one of you guys is coming down here to do this again. Like, god damn it, I already don't like coming down here. I can already see it now.
You're paying them $250 American to take you down for 2 or 3
I
hours.
paid how much for
walking
this fucking
to-
plane ticket?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and you just never know how people are
Exactly.
going to treat Americans either.
Now, what
No, you
about places like Ireland or Scotland or England?
I'd
Oh,
love
yeah.
to. That's my heritage.
I want to go to like some of the historical like
Mine too.
sites that like not necessarily where just like crisis places or like places where traumatic events happen, like places where
Yeah.
like happy things happen to, like just like a castle or even like Stonehenge or like some like great monuments. Like people spent time and put effort and like thought into all of that.
My mom went to Stonehenge, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Just like you look at the Mayan, like their all of their structures, it's made by hand. It's carved by hand. It
Yep.
echoes people. It's just so interesting to me because you can go almost anywhere, and no matter what, there's quite a few times where you might be in a brand new house and some weird things are happening. Yeah, because the land you built it on had things happen millions of years ago that you didn't know happened there, and it's
Yeah.
not documented.
Yeah, see, that's my big thing is, there's a lot of historians that love only American history.
Mm.
You figure American history as a European colonized nation is 300 years old.
It's
but
just such a
much like
blind thought.
Yeah, it is, and it's much like I tell my friends when I'm on their live streams or whatever from
Mhm.
Scotland and stuff. You guys have ruins over there.
Yeah.
I mean, even more so. You have houses and bars
Yeah.
that people eat, drink, and sleep in that are 1,000 years old.
Yeah, that breathe history.
Right.
Look at Egypt too. The Valley of the Kings. You walk through there and it is royalty, lineage that
Mhm.
people worshipped. And you can't tell me that there isn't some type of residual haunting there. I don't
Yep.
believe it.
And even going with the Egyptian thing, but on the tilt to it,
Right.
all over Northern Europe and everything, you have got ruins of when the Romans conquered northern and northwestern Europe, 12, 13, 14, 1,500 years ago. And a
Right.
lot of this stuff is still being used.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's and you just sit back and you go, huh, what a coinky dink, huh?
like I feel like I have to go to Ireland. Like my heritage is really
I would
rich
love
in-
to go to where my lineage is from and just
Yeah.
experience that culture just once or twice in my lifetime. I
Yep,
think I'm
same way.
Polish. I don't know,
I like
honestly, though.
Ireland and Scottish because like the guy was like born in Scotland but lived in Ireland for
Yeah.
a long time, worked for the Queen, and raised King Charles II. And I know it's this whole thing. My sister
So
got
awesome.
the ancestry on it. It's really
Hey,
cool.
she paid for it, so you gotta know it.
And he tried to marry Queen Elizabeth
That's
because
so
he was
awesome.
raising King Charles II.
No shit.
Well, he was obviously Prince Charles.
yeah, at the time.
And he was like running Scotland at the time,
Sick.
and he's like the top like, political person. Wasn't like the head guy, but was the head political guy. So like
Yeah.
he was in
Yeah.
constant communication.
He
with
was
the
in
Queen.
power,
Yeah.
regardless.
Yes,
he was
yes.
high official.
Yeah, I
And-
actually just did a video last week, or released a video last week on Queen Elizabeth I, and
Crazy.
Really.
they were talking about the fact of the rumors that circled around her.
Right.
And I don't remember the name of the little town, but it was a place where she spent most of her childhood growing up because, you know, King Henry was constantly moving and he was very estranged from her and stuff. And they went through all the theories of her dying about 10 or 11 years old and being replaced by the boy
Crazy. Yeah.
because they were the same age and best friends. He was related to Henry, so there was a great resemblance between him and Elizabeth.
Right.
So,
Bending like Beckham.
you know, just all kinds of stuff. So the
I mean,
answers
also,
are in
like-
the Vatican.
I would love to go to like Omaha Beach too. That would be an amazing, like, to spend the night on the beach, and then in the morning when the invasion's supposed to start, on the day of the invasion, just to hear the sounds of the battle like echoing. Like, it'd be insane. I believe it 100%. You will still hear that part of history from how
That's what I want to hear. one day.
course altering that piece of history
I
is.
want to hear like cannons going off.
Yeah.
Or something.
Or like an MG42 just letting bullets fly, and then the sound of the gates coming down from the landing craft, and then the guys yelling, "Go, go, go!" Like you'd hear it all.
I'd love to see a ghost
I,
ship.
I made a mistake too. I just gave everybody a look into the future. We just time traveled momentarily. That video will not be out until the 20th.
Whoops.
Hey, I'm a month ahead, okay? I knew I had to start
you
going
have
to
it
work.
scheduled
So
though. That's good.
it is
'Cause
scheduled.
we don't.
Yeah.
We go right off the cusp.
We do.
Well, see, Sunday we have a really special video coming out called Mesmerism, Ghosts, and Charles Dickens. And then, of course, the 18th is Roslyn Chapel, the history, the mystery, the music. And the 20th is the historic legends of Queen Elizabeth I.
Because fuck.
So, yeah, I'm already
We-
starting May. Whenever I have a night like tonight when the wife doesn't work, that's all I do, sit here and make videos,
Yeah.
upload them, set them, future release, and start working on another video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're super busy for the next Wednesday. Pretty much every Wednesday till the end of June. Right now, we're booked. So next week we have Haunting with Hodge on the 19th. Every show is at 8 p.m. as well. And then the last week of April, there's no episode. We might do something, probably a true crime episode or something like
Yeah.
that. But it won't be a live stream interview. Just got a lot going on that week,
Yes,
both of us. And then we go into May. We have Exploring Revenants Paranormal will be joining us. Paranormal XP, Wolf Paranormal, and Cam Paranormal.
Yep. So keep
Wow.
your
Oh,
eyes
oh,
on the
and-
space. Oh.
We changed Adventures with Nubs. Was supposed to be on May 2nd, but is now on May 1st.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
Mom.
we're already booked for June too, but
Yeah.
we're not going to announce that yet.
Hold that one. You gotta know when to hold 'em. Know when to hold 'em.
Let me see here.
We don't want to overshadow our other guests with
No.
more episodes on. It would just seem like too much, I think.
No.
Sometimes you
Yeah,
in
you
show
know,
biz, you gotta
and actually,
keep secrets.
I thought about getting a hold of you guys and saying,
Yeah.
hey, you know, when am I scheduled? And it's like, nah, I'm going to schedule them instead.
Heck yeah.
No, that works out.
We're
Also
obviously
because
gonna have you on ours too, though.
eventually, yeah. But it works out to go on someone else's show too. You know, the other side of us.
It's nice.
Yeah, you know, you guys, when you're sitting up there, you're doing your podcast, you got to be all professional and stuff like that. We're not professional here. We just
I don't
like
even
this.
think we're all that professional.
Oh no, I think I take this so lackadaisical. One time I said something that
I think we
was
just
a
have that
little too far.
appearance. I
I
think
think I'm taking it too far a few times.
yeah, you may have said something last week that you might not have said.
Yeah, I said the same thing in the car. But I don't want to say it back out loud because
No, we're not even. Just forget that he said that. He's very sorry that he said it. Don't cancel.
Okay,
It's
all
already
right.
out there.
So, momentary professionalism. What
Gotta regain.
started?
the face.
What goes bump in the night?
I guess just our love for this shit.
Yeah, the mutual love for it. We
And
were just
at
sitting
the time,
out back.
we were
one
both
night.
kind of getting into these like different podcasts,
We're
like
smoking
podcasts on the left. We're getting high. We're doing all this stuff, and we were
We're
just like,
learning.
man, we should just buy a mic and talk about this stuff because we already talk about it every day, all day while we're at work. And
It's
then,
such a good idea.
let's do it, and we just
And
did
we just
it.
ran with it. And both of us are like really like I want to say colorful because we'll do like voice impressions and we'll
Oh,
like
yeah,
come up with
so-
skits and shit.
If you're new to us, we have alter personalities that come out on the show. We have done lives with them before. On
Yep.
episode 100, they were actually the hosts
Rick
of
Van
our
Winkle is
award
a
show
very
that we
awesome
do
host.
every 100 episodes. It's the Bumpy Award. So Drew might actually be able to win one.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God! What
Just
does Bumpy
kidding.
Award look like? Is it like? Is it like
It's a
It was a
Voodoo
voodoo doll.
Oh,
No, it's
With a
actually
cock.
more than that. It's more than that, actually. So what it is it's a box, and we put wax all over it. And
We make
do,
it a
like,
divot box.
We make it look like a divot box, and we fill it with a bunch of different gifts, like our card game,
Yep.
our What
Stickers.
Goes Bump of the Night, Voodoo Doll, Bumpy Award, and a bunch of other stuff.
Mhm.
Photos, like the person who won it last year, James. He lives in Texas and listens to our podcast. So,
Yep.
James, if you make it to this episode, shout out you for being a real one. And he entered our contest to win a Bumpy Award and actually won it legit. And we sent it to him, and he actually did an unboxing.
It was awesome.
For it too.
It was like one of the proud. It was like I was a proud papa again, even though I already am a proud papa.
And we made the voodoo doll and everything.
It finally felt like
All handcrafted.
wow.
it's so cool because like you finally get that like realization that you're impacting somebody else's day to day, where they're taking
Now you
the
make
time
me
to
feel
listen
like
to
I
you.
got to come up with the Droobies or something like that.
It was
Dude,
just
the
a funny.
Bumpies, we
It was
were
a
literally,
funny
like, doing,
idea
like,
that we just came up
Bumpies.
with because of our alternate personalities. We could maybe bring them on tonight. I don't know.
No, I am not. I cannot. I'm not ready
no,
for that.
I'm not ready. The last time we brought them out, shit got really bad. They've taken over our show. So,
Rick Van Winkle.
Rick Van Winkle and Billy, if you're listening, we got our eyes on you. You're not taking us over, and you can have episode 200. That's it. That's the deal every time from now on until you guys prove
And-
your worth to us.
They do have that hard hitting Channel 10 nightly.
Yeah, so their
WGBT,
Channel 10
yeah.
nightly news is unreal. They got the best news. That's what Rick will tell you anyways.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not so sure. He's got more bumpies than anyone
It seems
So,
so.
in
so
history.
you guys have
So-
done 100 how many episodes?
What 138 now?
Well, if we want to count all the live streams that aren't
We're over
on
140
Spotify,
now.
yeah, we're over 140 episodes in 3 years.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been podcasting for a while.
We
We used to
just-
sound like we were underwater, and now we actually sound better.
Yeah, we just hit
We still fuck it up,
13,000 downloads total.
Dang.
That's
And
pretty epic.
everybody has to understand, I didn't actually meet these guys until Ghostorama last year.
Yep,
That's true.
And honestly, I didn't think I could ever watch them because so few podcasters actually do a live recording on YouTube and then later, upload to their podcasting platforms. That I didn't know I could ever watch these guys, but when I found out they were on YouTube, that's when I'd pop in once in a while and
Yep.
check them out, and it's like I kind of like this.
Yeah, we were getting real worried at first because we were just doing like anonymous podcasting, like how everybody does. But then we got the stick up our ass, like, why don't we talk to people? Like we did the podcast summit with Indie Pods United
that we do every year,
and we were getting more comfortable with being on screen, and it was just one of those like, oh, it's not that scary. Like we're just talking, and everybody else likes what we're talking about
yeah.
too.
So I'll piggyback off that a little bit. So when we joined this Indie Pods United, it was all through Facebook. We never met anyone, and I started talking to this lady named Tina, awesome person, and she has a great mind for developing like businesses and stuff, and created this like podcasting group that would like we'd all undergo like it was like a label kind of, but we'd only do this event to raise money for the collective.
Yep.
So they came up with this festival idea where they'd have all of these podcasters, musicians, like there's concerts going on, like
Any
live
indie
concerts.
like creator basically.
And she gave us the headlining show of the first night.
Yep.
And
then the
we had
following
only done
year-
live one other time ever.
and she
And
liked
it
what we
didn't go
talked
that
about.
great, in my opinion.
I
It was a
thought it
great
was.
episode, but like visually, it wasn't
It was not as appealing as
not
this
as
is
appealing
now.
as we thought it was going to.
It is not nearly as refined as what we got it, and it still isn't perfect.
But yeah, people really liked it when we went live and did that episode. So we're like, okay, let's start to incorporate it a little bit more.
I got less ugly.
And we've just became more comfortable like in front of the camera, I guess. And it's
more fun this way.
more fun too. Like you get people interacting with you. You have guests now. For us, was just super new.
Yeah.
And it's a super refreshing way to do our podcast now because we had honestly ran into like writer's block with
We
ideas
definitely did
recently. Like the artificial pastas was writer's block.
Yeah,
And we
that
were
was
just-
like, what else can we talk about? Like before we start using like really not good content. Like we were finding stories and things online that were interesting, but there wasn't enough to go off of. There wasn't enough content for us to really eat it up. So we were sitting back and we're like, well, we could talk about what we always talk about, or we could keep everything stale. But we like to change things. Like we're constantly taking time to do, SCP files. You probably don't even know what SCP files are. Or the Black Vault files, which is literally the declassified alien files that the government put out. Oh, we're talking about Bigfoot today. Oh, we're talking about the zombie apocalypse that could be coming because of Corona. Like the beer.
Yeah.
It's Apocalypse of Beer, duh. Everyone's talking about it.
So
It's a
out of 140 plus podcasts, out of
Yep.
so many guests, can you think of the top 5 guests that you've had that just blew you away with their knowledge and their experiences and stuff?
Danny definitely is one of them. He's definitely one of the goats because he has over 300 investigations, and he's like the grandfather of us all, where he just teaches us. He teaches a lot, and he's very knowledgeable on everything. But I honestly think one of our early talks was one of my favorites because it wasn't paranormal per se. It was a extraterrestrial encounter, and it was our good friend Austin,
My brother-in-law.
and it was so vivid. Like his account
it's
of
really
what
good.
happened that night
It's
was
episode 4.
yeah, I think it was
5.
episode 4 or 5. Honestly, it's really, really early on, and the audio quality is a little rough. But wow, like his account is not. It's not like what everybody else depicts, but he remembered it so vividly. And then later down the road, other people in his family also remember this happening, and it's like, oh shit, dude! Like there's validation now. So you're more than just telling me a story.
Yeah, it's a really
It's
good
super
episode. You
interesting.
have to go hear it for yourself, people. Like Austin's the way he tells it. There's
He's
so
very
much
well
detail,
spoken.
and he's a very smart guy. And he has held this story in for a really long time. Not many people know about it unless you've listened to that story or are a close personal friend. You've probably never heard it, and it's real.
Right.
I would say another guest
Wow.
I loved having on was Anthony.
Anthony also, he
We
some
had a really
interesting comments.
awesome talk about demons once.
Yep.
That somehow the audio got fucked up.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like bionic, but he was telling me a story about how his girlfriend's dad was dating a girl who carved a satanic pentagram underneath his bed and threw salt everywhere and like put a curse on it.
Yeah,
And like like a bunch of paranormal shit was happening. Like she had summoned something, and I don't know if I believe in demons or angels necessarily, but if there's an entity that is malevolent, it's a malevolent entity. It's going to fuck shit up. It's gonna mess with you. It's gonna hurt you if it can. So it's just like that was an eye opener.
I think that's
that was
episode. So episode 3 is with my sister in Austin.
Okay.
And then episode 4 was with Anthony.
Oh, so it was
that
literally
story.
episode 3 and 4.
But he might have talked about it again on
Later
the Demons
episode.
episode 2. So
yeah. But yeah, it's super interesting. And
Austin was 6, man.
what is happening with you right now? I think you might be having a stroke.
No, because it's this. We Are Alone is episode
I see what
6.
you're saying. Yeah,
And
so I
then-
mean, there's been quite a few good conversations that we've got to have with everybody. Literally every conversation that we've done when we started doing this interview series we've been working on
has been
awesome because everybody has such a different account of things that they've been through and how they handle things, or like we relate on a lot of things where they might do a lot of the same things that we do, or they're implementing things that we should probably look at in a different way that we're doing it and maybe try to implement them ourselves.
Interesting. Well, and that's really kind of one of the reasons that I lurked in the shadows for so long with you guys.
Yeah.
Seeing how you conduct your interviews, how you interact with your interviewees, the things that you talk to them about, and things like that. And it's like, something? That's actually pretty cool. I really like the way they do that.
Thank you.
So upcoming guests on what goes bump in the night. I mean, any big names?
We can't
I don't think we
say
should.
the big one. That's the unfortunate part.
But we do have a lot of,
I'd say
really
everybody's
popular
channel
people
is
in the
popular.
paranormal community, like Exploring Revenants Paranormal, Paranormal XP,
Hunting with Hodge.
Hunting with Hodge next week,
Oh, I always have
Camp
fun.
Paranormal,
Yep. Hodge is a
Wolf
good boy.
Paranormal. Like, I mean, we have some
Everybody is
well-respected
very
people in the
reputable.
paranormal community, I think.
And their channels should be bigger than what they
Yeah,
are.
so if you don't know them and it's the first time you're hearing of them, please tune in and watch.
Everybody that
because
you see in our feed that we've interviewed before, go find
You're
their
going
pages,
to
give
hear
them a
some
like and a follow.
new theories on paranormal, potentially. You're going to hear a lot of history. You're going to hear some really good ghost stories. You're going to hear
some Canadians.
Yeah, we've had international people like
It's
Helena,
super fun to
and
know that we've talked to people from all over the
Exploring
world.
with Harley and Weeping Willow.
Yep.
Like,
It's so fun. It's
so cool.
so
and
fun.
we would have never met any of these
No.
people if it wasn't for the online paranormal community that has just kind of like found each other.
Well, and it opens up so many possibilities to if we're in the area, we can just be like, hey, guys, we're in town. Where should we go? Oh, come meet up. We're gonna go fucking here.
Right. We would
There you
have
go.
never been able to do that
Networking.
before. Like if we would have known any of you guys when we're going to Old Lincoln County
Yep.
Jail, like, hey, we're going here, and
If he never would have ran into Tommy,
yeah,
we
that
would
too.
never have been linked up with you guys.
Yeah, it all starts with
Yeah.
us me going to Nunica Cemetery,
Yep.
and leaving at the same time Tommy was getting there and talking to him for like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And it's just that little interaction changed the course of our lives.
It did.
You know,
So
and
shout out
it's
Tommy.
yeah, definitely shout out to Tommy because I discovered him um, right here on this platform, and I watched like, oh God, 5 or 6 of his videos,
Yeah.
and
Does a
it's
very good
like
job too.
it's like, dude, he is my own personal little Zach Baggins.
Yep.
The way he interacts, the way he challenges, the way he tries not to, or he intimidates without being intimidating. And it's like, dude, I've got to meet up with this dude. And I invited him down
It's
to
the
that
mustache.
1879. It's the mustache. You notice, I was just sitting here
There's
playing
so
with
much.
mine trying to get it to curl
I'm
up.
about to have a mustache here pretty soon. Next week,
Muzzies.
you're gonna see it. Muzzy season, playoff season, baby.
Most definitely. So, what is planned for 2023 for you
Honestly,
guys?
we're going to be doing these live streams nonstop.
Yep.
We're just going to keep up with it because it's freaking
Investigations
awesome.
are going to pick back
And
up.
we're going to keep shooting to get bigger and bigger guests and continue to have greater and greater video quality and
Yeah. strive
content for
better.
everyone. Like, one thing that we've said since the beginning for this is we don't want people to think that we're just doing this to get rich or anything like
I'd
that.
love to.
Yeah,
Of course,
sure not
that would
gonna,
be
sure not gonna get rich on
amazing.
YouTube.
It would be amazing for that to happen, but unfortunately, realistically, it is not going to happen. And I don't want people to give me money to become rich.
We don't
I want to
fake this
earn it.
either.
So we want people to know that we're doing this genuinely because we love doing this, and this is what we talk about every single day as friends. And we just wanted to share our talks with people. And now it's become this whole thing with What Goes Bump the Night, like having this internet presence and our faces and being recognized as that's who we are now, which has become really crazy. And it's something I don't think we would have really thought would have happened,
No.
but it's really cool to see that people are supporting us because when you're starting out doing this, you don't know what people are.
No. And I think we're going to try to do more investigations this year. I know we want to go back to the Double J and investigate that one more time because there's locations at that location that we did not get to investigate that we definitely want to. So that's a big one. I know I personally want to go rent a location, just a crew of us. Hopefully one in Detroit, maybe, or another one
that we just found out recently.
Yep. And even Danny was telling me that I think he said it was like the Masonic lodge that he's a part
we're
of.
definitely doing that.
Yep.
So there's definitely going to
one.
be paranormal investigations.
Yeah, so we're going to have new locations this year, rejuvenating our plethora of investigation videos. Plus, there's so many more cemeteries that we found about that are just asking for us to go walk around and talk to.
Yes, that most people are probably not going to know about.
No, and I mean, it might not be the first time we go where they're comfortable enough to speak to us, but I mean,
I've already been there once.
Yeah, I mean, we can go
On
back
a red
and try it
moon.
again.
It was wild.
Yeah, we actually done Danny's Masonic temple last year.
Yep.
And that was a very, very cool place. Very cool
I love
place.
it.
Which, I mean, a lot of people don't realize. They think a Masonic temple. Well, they don't realize that, certain times funerals are held at Masonic temples.
Yep.
Not to mention, when you become a Mason for life.
Uh-huh.
And there have been instances where some 94-year-old Mason goes to a meeting and sits down in one of the chairs and passes away during the meeting.
Yep.
So it's just one night just made a really good statement. Nice when you find someone who genuinely wants to work out what is happening in the paranormal world and share findings truthfully and honestly. And
it's so easy to fake it.
It is, and that's
so
one
easy.
reason you'll always see me At the end of my videos and stuff, if you watch my video all the way to the end, you'll always see, we proudly support para-unity.
Yep.
There's no reason, and I bitch about this all the time. I bitch and I moan and complain that, there's so many people out there that want to have the limelight, want to have that spotlight shine on them. I found the evidence that proves the afterworld exists.
I did it.
No one will ever
I
prove
did it.
I'm
Pay
sorry.
me.
It's always
Make me
gonna be
rich.
Yeah.
I don't think it's provable, but it is real.
But see, I, on the other hand, much like Tommy, much like Randy from Randy's Real Paranormal, much like Danny from Southern
He's also
Michigan
been on our
Paranormal,
show.
we put those findings right here for everyone to see. And my God, if you find something that could add to what we've already found, you're more than welcome to clip our video and use it in your video.
Yeah. Or if I'm interpreting something wrong, please step in.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, tell me if I'm wrong. I need to know.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
just
I'll
don't be a dick.
Thinking the same thing.
I will take your criticism all day long. I love it.
I'm obviously going to research what you say, but I'm going to think about it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Ego has no place in the paranormal. And you're right. No. I would much rather be part of a group of thousands that compile their data, compile their evidence to prove something exists,
rather than
be that one guy standing up there that people are going to hate because I found it.
Yeah.
And I claim everything for myself.
Yeah.
I did this by myself. No, I stood on the shoulders of giants and did it.
Yeah. Preach.
I think everyone that we've had on our show is
very legitimate.
Legitimate and has proven ghosts are real.
I was just gonna say
every single
good evidence we've been presented.
Pretty much released. Even if maybe some of the stuff they don't think is paranormal, someone else might actually think it's paranormal.
Yeah, like Blood Moon's a good example. They don't necessarily think that a lot of the orbs that you will catch are really believable. Now, some of them are unexplainable. But you go talk to another expert and they're like, well, actually, I think most orbs that you catch are actually, in fact, paranormal. So it's like you see two different perspectives there for sure, but both of them are believers and both of them have caught immaculate evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just nice because we've caught a lot of evidence ourselves, but when you see somebody else's that's on par with a full body apparition like we've caught, it's like, wow. That's interesting as shit. Or a disembodied voice that's just like ours. It's why.
Yeah, or you get people like Blood Paranormal who see our picture of the shadow figure for the first time at Mouth Cemetery and they're like, okay, I don't like that.
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, you don't like? I thought you could be like, that's cool.
And she 100%
was
a photographer and was like, that doesn't make sense.
It's that looks like what we've named it, the Grim Reaper of Mouth Cemetery.
Yeah, but it's probably a primordial being, like an elemental.
Yeah, it probably
to be
is
honest.
Actually, what it is.
Because
I've never thought about that. That's actually a very interesting way of looking at it. Is it being a primordial figure, an elemental, an already existing spirit.
Yeah, I mean, you think how is matter created at the cosmic level? It's two atoms exploding, like the Big Bang Theory. It's the most plausible out of everything. I do believe that there is an almighty being who snapped everything into existence to start the Big Bang. Because I don't know if he just nothing and then there's something. But when the Big Bang happened, it's two things smashing into each other. So who's to say that that's not happening there?
Good point. It's a good point. So, for those of us that have not been to Mouth, most people probably have never even heard of Mouth Cemetery.
Probably not.
What was that experience like? Because I know creepy. Ben from Afterlife Road. They've been to Mouth several times. You guys have been to Mouth.
So, the first time we went there, the reason it was so crazy, and we will always say this, is because of the conditions of the weather. So when we went, it was 2022. No, 21.
Yeah.
It was 21. Yeah. It was 2 years ago. It all starts blending together after 30, I swear to God.
So old.
And it was a heat lightning storm.
Yep. It was dry and it was heat and there wasn't a ton of wind, but it wasn't blowing where we were. It was in the tops of the trees.
It was how hot was it that day? It was 85.
Was it like August? It was in an August night and it was fucking sweltering. It was dry heat too.
It hadn't rained in days, like.
And I mean, when we say it was heat lightning, like it was flash,
craziest storm ever.
Flash.
But the wind was only hitting the top of the trees. Yep. So Mount Cemetery is in the middle of the woods, basically. And it's basically off everything's overgrown. You can't see the grade.
You go through a 2-track basically. So you go on a dirt road to a 2-track, and then you go through the 2-track to a dirt turnaround where you walk into an overgrown cemetery on a hill almost. And it's unkept. There's broken headstones, and this is also an area where an Indian mass burial ground is, or a mass killing happened because of tribes that were warring over the water.
Genocide happened.
And then this is also where one of the most notable lighthouse keepers in the Montague area is buried as well, and his family is, because he was known to.
And the lighthouse
take care of the lighthouse for 80 years or something.
From there.
Wow. So I mean, the area itself is it's really cool, but it's eerie at night. It's dark. It's secluded. It's exactly what you think. There's when
also
you go to a cemetery.
An even deeper legend.
Yep.
To Mount Cemetery
of death
surrounding an object in the cemetery
that they had to take away because of this stigma that it was carrying. So it was I forgot it was a doctor shit.
Oh gosh, what is his name?
I don't remember his name. We'll just call him Dr. Shit. So he had this chair and he was really into
paranormal.
The paranormal, and he was obsessed with it. In the 60s. He wrote books about it. And he lived right there where the cemetery was. And people would sit in this chair
from his house.
Yeah, that was in his house, and I don't even remember was he black magic and bullshit
no.
Stuff
so
like
people
that?
Obviously in the 60s they thought he was fucking crazy, and he was
super ostracized.
But he was a scientist and an author, and so he got ridiculed and shit. And this chair came from his house.
It was a memoriam to him.
Yeah. People stole it from his house after he died because it was left.
Put it in the cemetery.
And then a kid sat in the chair and rocked in it. And
a year to the day of him doing that, he passed away in a car accident, and they call it the death chair.
Brandon Jose just popped in from Jose Paranormal History Productions. He just said the death chair. He knows about the death chair.
I just don't remember what the doctor's name was. It was
starts with a P.
It's not Pravaki, because I just did a.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. That's why I didn't.
It's something like that though. Seth Pravaki is the Muskegon killer that murdered his whole family on Thanksgiving in 1998. That's a different thing.
Wow.
Our most recent
true crime show that
episode, so go listen to that.
If you're interested in true crime, it's an interesting story. I don't understand how people's brains can work like that.
We're going to get into true crimes in the next 15 minutes. So
hell yeah. I mean, I think it also pertains to paranormal too, because a traumatic event like that 100% imprints its surroundings. It's the energy transfer right there.
Yeah, one thing we've always done when we do talk about true crime stories and do those types of episodes is at the end we usually go, okay, so what's the paranormal side of this? And that's always a fun thing to do, to
relate it back to what the roots are, or at least get a different perspective on the story, because you always want it to be about the victims more than he wants to be about the perpetrator. But at the same time, it's everybody always takes the heavy route, the the dark route where it's like, well, why don't we, like add a different level to this and maybe come at it from a different angle and not make it so sad.
Is there a way to look at a murder and not make it sad?
No, I haven't found it yet. I haven't. Because me and Riley like to keep it really loose. So when we do our true crime episodes too, I try to keep it loose, but it's like, oh, that is such a fucking tightrope to walk. Because it makes me angry what some of these monsters have done, and it's like, it's not even funny to crack a joke right now.
Yeah, we've done some pretty messed up killers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it boggles my mind what people are capable of.
Like the guy from Alaska who hunted prostitutes.
Yeah, he'd fly prostitutes out into the woods and then drop them off and then hunt them like they were his big game and they were his trophies.
Wow.
Yep. I forgot what his name was. What was it? It was like the Alaskan Butcher or something.
Yeah, the Butcher.
I don't remember what his name is though. But yeah, so that I have like a firewall in my brain that will not let me do anything like that. Like I will never strike a woman. I will not willingly probably break the law unless I'm like completely oblivious to what I'm doing.
Oh, I think we did that episode live as well.
Did we?
Yep. Butcher Baker, Robert Hansen.
Robert Hansen, yeah. One of the most prolific killers to ever do it.
They don't even know how many people he killed, or women that he killed.
He didn't divulge all of it. He was one of those. He took what he knew to the grave, and he only gave them a little bit to get himself what he wanted, and he wasn't willing to be like, "Here's my body count, bitches." At least I think that's him.
Like, dude had his own plane, had his own like little island. Like they would drop these women.
It's always crazy to me too that the people that do these things a lot of the time, like O.J. Simpson, like you are a fucking millionaire. You have your whole career ahead of you. You might have got acquitted, but you did. And then like all the other murderers that are also like wealthy, that have so much to live for. At least in my book, or what I look at. And then they're just throw it away.
Yeah. Well, Brandon just said Joseph Sadney, according to the legend, is the one who
that's what it is.
Sadoni.
That's what it is.
Yep, that's
so. Him. All right, let's talk these last 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever, about true crimes.
Yep.
What true crimes have you guys talked about from right here in the state of Michigan?
My favorite is Frederick Holman.
Yes, that one is one of the most interesting because it is the least known about.
So Frederick Holman was from Grand Haven, Michigan. He moved here from Germany in like the 1800s when all of the Germans were coming to the United States.
Yep.
And he had a fairly normal life, it seems like, for that time period. But he eventually a wife died and a kid died, and he kind of like lost it one night, and
he started his killing spree.
Yep. And his favorite way to kill people was a
garrote, basically, is what it was.
Yeah, so he'd take his tie, and he would put it around their neck and tie them around the doorknob,
and then force them to suffocate to death. So he did that to 3 or 4 women?
Yep.
And the crazy part is once he got caught, this predated H.H. Holmes and the Jack the Ripper case. So he was technically one of the first serial killers. And it was right here in our hometown of Muskegon.
He didn't kill people here, though. He killed people in Illinois.
Yeah, he ended up moving to Illinois, where he is buried right now because that's where he was caught and tried, and his family's buried here. So we believe that his energy
is still connected.
Yeah, because they had children together, and the family's buried there. His wife is, at least, and he was this monster that killed people. But then when he was caught and put to death, he said, "I'll build my own gallows," and then built his gallows to be hung at. Took pictures on it and was proud of it, and then let it go. Decided to leave his mortal coil right there.
I'm pretty sure as well he got hung with a Bible in his hand.
Yep.
So when he died, he dropped it.
My favorite, though, like, we haven't got to it, and it's such an interesting story, but I have a book that depicts a lot of the ones that happen in the Greater Lakes area. And I didn't know this beforehand, but Andrew Kehoe was basically a terrorist. It's probably the best way to say it. Before terrorism happened here, he decided to fill I don't even know what room it was in the basement of a schoolhouse, like children's schoolhouse, with dynamite basically, and blow it up and kill 48 kids and a couple adults because he was mad about something the government did.
That's a crazy story.
Really?
Yeah, so this happened in Bath, Michigan. So I mean,
the Bath School Massacre.
Yeah, and that was Andrew Kehoe. Yeah, and that was one of the like craziest things. He's got like the highest body count. Oh, I forgot about that. We did cover another one, like Lucas Magnotta. Was that how you say that?
Yeah.
The cat killer. If you ever seen the Netflix documentary where they talked about you don't fuck with cats, that's about Lucas Magnotta. Because he was basically releasing videos of him killing cats and kittens and suffocating them with bags and shit on YouTube, and thought it was cool. And then he got reprimanded online by it, and then I'm pretty sure he killed his girlfriend, right? Or a girl that he was
killed
seeing.
multiple people.
Yeah, it was something really fucked up. I forgot the exact details of it, but it's wild.
We did Jim
That
Jones.
is messed up.
Yeah, like
Oh,
the
Jim
People's
Jones.
Temple. Yeah, that's crazy. And like we listened to some of the death tapes too.
We did. We played him on the
Actually
episode.
talking about Jim Jones right before it started, I think, tonight. Jonestown and how you talked about earlier, how he was manipulating people through his speeches.
Yep.
And how
and
he
towards
got
the
plus
end,
people to.
Yeah.
I mean,
look at the end of his life.
Feed your children poison and then drink it yourself.
Mm-hmm. He was delusional. Like he was taking so much like amphetamines and uppers that he was just completely delusional by the end of it. He wasn't coherently speaking. He had to wear sunglasses because people would look into his eyes and know he was a complete fucking kook. Yep. It's crazy.
It's crazy. And he moved all of those people. All of them to South America.
And he was promising them all good lives. Like, this soil is good for us to farm and do this. When, in all reality, it was the worst fucking job to clear that place for them to live. It did not yield any fucking fruit or vegetables or anything. They were struggling to the point where I think he just hit that wall where he's like, we gotta do it. This is it. We gotta do it.
I mean, they were cracking him down too. Pretty hard.
They were coming down on him at that point. And
what's crazy is there's actually videos of them in the.
Yeah, like administrating like not the syringes, but like the cups of fucking poison and shit. And then wasn't that also where the
deep
plane,
rabbit hole on this one?
The plane got shot up by the people that were Yeah, so there was also a plane where a sect of that cult decided that they were going to go enact revenge on
they were going to defect.
They were defecting, but they were also like, we are still, like in line with the People's Temple's beliefs. Went to the plane of the reporters that had just decided to try to get the defectors out.
Yep.
And this radical sect that had also defected from the main group grabbed the guns and went and shot the plane up and killed a bunch of people. And then this is the same day that Jim Jones said, all right, we got to do this. And he would have numerous drills of like invasions and have people running out in the woods getting shot at. Because
sometimes actually get shot too.
Yeah, because he was crazy enough to be like, he wouldn't tell the people that it was a drill. He would tell them they were being invaded, and then he would have a crew of people running around the woods to simulate it. Like he was literally going insane by the time he made it out there. It was insane. Like the stuff that we read about was nuts.
It was so crazy. And I dove into a really deep rabbit hole when we were researching it.
It's hard not to.
And you start watching the videos that were taken by the camera crew that was
it's so fascinating.
Rushed to the plane and then eventually shot, and some of them died.
It's so fascinating.
It's really, really like
it's
scary.
hard to watch.
Honestly, like that shit is actually scary when you see people's
when you see the
minds
fucking the
taken over
footage
like
of
that.
like looking down on the compound and just the not thousands, like hundreds of bodies just laid out, it's like,
Yep.
what happened? Why?
Yep.
And then you listen to the death tape. Like, we actually play it on the episode.
Don't
like
let
15
your
minutes or
children
something.
cry.
It's
And he just sounds
terrifying.
fucking insane. And like people are like, preach, yes, that is my father. And it's like, oh man, like I feel so bad that you were manipulated to the point to where you are being led down a lie of a path where you are thinking you're going to be accepted by this maker or whatever their beliefs were at the end, because I honestly I can't even tell you what he really wanted because it was ramblings.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah. Now what
There's
about
no collective thought.
what about oh God, what was that cult called?
The Hail Bop one?
It might have been the Hellboppin' where they were all supposed to leap off a cliff or something, and they would their spirit would miraculously appear on board this spaceship. And
yeah, that's the
yeah.
Hail Bop. That's Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
Heaven's Gate.
Marshall Applewhite. Yep. So yeah, they all refer to the homes they lived in as their ships, and their jobs as like their crew distinctions, where they're like, I'm going to like make money for the crew today, and they lived as if they were one space unit. Like, it's crazy. They weren't Trekians or like Star Warsians. They were literally like, once we pass on, our living bodies are going to just shed our souls, and we're going to end up on this spaceship following the Hale-Bopp comet, because at the time they were taking photos of the Hale-Bopp comet, and it was 24 months out, and they had only been able to see comets that were 2 months out. You know, until then it was unheard of to see it that far out. And then they said that they were seeing pictures of like this Saturn thing that was trailing the comet, and it was massive, bigger than our sun. But it's nothing. It's not an alien spaceship. It's not what Marshall Applewhite and because they called them T and Doe. I forgot what the girl's name that was also the leader of it was. But like at the end of that too, he sounded tired. He sounded like he didn't want to do it anymore, basically. And the fucked up part was, at the beginning of this, their ideologies were, no, we're not going to kill ourselves. We are going to one day be picked up and then be where we need to be because we believe in this. And then once, I think it was the girl leader died, they were like, oh, she burned her body up because she was burning so bright, and now she's with, you know, the spaceship, and we all need to follow her lead, and we can punch our ticket now.
Oh wow!
Oh my gosh!
So
yeah, it's crazy.
If you guys want to, before we end this, if you want to go ahead and plug the podcast, plug the true crimes streams and stuff, go for it.
Okay. Well, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio,
Amazon Music, Podbean, Deezer, Stitcher.
All the main ones, you know, wherever you find your podcasts or where you listen to music. If you go to Google and you Google What Goes Bump the Night podcast, it'll take you to our page where you can find our merchandise links. You can find links to everything. You can find our like homepage basically. So you'll find
yourself on Facebook often. Just type What Goes Bump the Night.
Instagram, we have an Instagram page
at What Goes Bump Pod. That's like all of the other ones that have like handles.
Yeah,
like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. That's where you'll find us that way.
Yep. And then What Goes Bump in the Night pod at gmail.com? I forgot how it is.
Oh, What Goes Bump in the Night podcast at gmail.com.
Yep.
If you have any questions for us, if you respond to us on social media,
we usually will like
respond back.
Try to get our viewers, the night crew, involved in what we're doing and picking stuff for us because we don't always have the best choices.
Yeah. So yeah, check out our socials. Sometimes we do like viewer voting like episodes,
giveaways or
and we'll do
very
giveaways. Like
usual.
we said, we're at 140 some episodes now, so that means there's a bumpy award coming up.
If we hit our goals too, which
So
I mean we're rapidly like
give you some of those categories to be like best cryptics, best guest, best night crew member.
just tell your friends about us. You know, if people like to hear this stuff, they want to hear about the true crime. Me and Jenna, we do true crime talks with Jenna and Trev. Me and Riley, the main channel stuff. We do all of the paranormal talks, cryptic talks. We'll read stories to you. We go on the No Sleep Reddit forum. We'll find all the cool stories. We'll do voices for you guys, like anything. Like it's just we're just having
I've been
fun.
a girl before.
Yeah. Yep. We were just having fun. That's all we're here to do. And I mean, what more fun is it to enjoy paranormal and everything that is spooky than hanging out around the fire like we used to, and now we do it organically with you guys.
Yeah. And that's why we always say, remember to keep your ears and eyes open for what really goes.
Bump in the night. Because that's what really does.
Most definitely. All right, Trevor, Riley, thank you for taking time away from your significant others and your fishing trips. And I'll fish. I'm going to try not to work too hard, man. Today wore me out. It was my day off today, and maintenance man actually showed up last night here at the house. He's like, dude, could you please come in tomorrow and work? We need you. And it's like, I got to work for like 9 days straight before I get a day off. And it's like, I just started this job 2 days ago. That's not fair.
Right. Like, ease me into it, assholes.
Can I at least please get a pair of shoes that don't make me feel like I want to sever my leg to stop the pain?
Yeah.
But
I understand that feeling.
But all right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for talking about the investigations and the true crime and the podcast and everything that we talked about. And I'll tell you, whenever you guys have an opening, give me a holler. I'll be more than happy to come over. I've never got the bumpies from 2 guys before. You know something? At my age, experimentation is a wonderful thing. So
I love it.
But everybody else, have a good evening. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for hanging out with me and Riley and Trevor. Oh yeah, definitely. But you guys all have a great evening. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you. God love you. We do. We'll catch you out there.